Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Kotap. I'm the lead teacher for Technology and Learning at Leo Academy Trust, and today I'm going to be taking you through Book Creator. So the first thing that you need to do is to set up an account. So all I need to do is just go to bookcreator.com and it'll take me to a page that looks like this. I just simply tap on sign in. And then it's going to bring me up to a page that looks like this. And I'm going to use the teacher sign in first. Then use sign in with Google, or you can use Office 365 or sign in with email, depending on what you're using. We're often just sign in with Google here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in an account here. Once I'm signed in, it's going to ask me what grade that I teach. So I can just pop in a grade, for example, here, or a year, and then just simply tap on next. And then it'll ask what subjects you teach. Again, this doesn't matter too much, but it just means that content will be more relevant when you put it in. And then the first thing it will ask you to do is to name your library. So I'm just simply going to call this training. And you can always change that after. So don't worry if you name it something and then realize, actually, I do want to change it and put it something else. You can always go back in and do that. Once it's set up, you'll see that this is now your library. Just in the top left corner here, this allows you to see your library. So you can see here that I have my books, which are private. I've also got training. So this then becomes a collaborative library. So if I want to add other teachers or if I want to add my pupils in, this is where I would want to set those books up. I can also have any books that have been shared with me as well. So in my own Book Creator account, maybe I want to share a book with someone to work on something. This would be where you would find that here. Now, it is worth just mentioning that in the Resources tab here, this will actually open up to a range of resources that go through from pre-kindergarten, so nursery, through to reception, and then primary, middle school, and obviously high school as well there. But you can also filter by subject. So if you're thinking, how could I use Book Creator in a science lesson? How could I use it in a maths lesson? Or how could I use it in a creative arts lesson? Now, just sort of on a side note on this, one of the schools that I worked at when I first moved to London were using Book Creator entirely for all of their science lessons. So the teacher used this basically to produce all of their lesson material content that maybe would be going up on the board or that they'd want pupils to access. And rather than having them simply go on the board to see it, they would actually be able to access this on their own devices. So it is very much just getting creative as a teacher. And yes, it is going to take time to put these things together. But then think about the content and the range of accessibility that something like this brings. And hopefully I'll be able to showcase some of that to you today. A couple of other things is that there are a range of helpful guides from educators based around different areas. So if you want to support language learners, if you want to look at differentiated learning, how you can embed content, I will go through and show some of that today, how you can develop thinking in the classroom, maths projects, etc. There's also lots of weekly webinars that Book Creator run. There are templates. There is also the ability to become a Book Creator certified author. This will actually take you through how to use Book Creator and is definitely something I'd recommend doing if you have the time and want to upskill yourselves as well. You'll also see that in the bottom right corner, there is a chat. So if you do have any questions as you go through, when you're using Book Creator, you can always go in and use that. So I'm going to just jump back to the library section here and just take you through sort of how you go about setting up a book. And then I'll show you how you actually then go about sharing this so that your pupils can get on as well. So in the top right corner of your screen, it will tell you that you are limited to 40 book plan. This is obviously just through the free version. You can obviously upgrade this as well. But for the most part, we found that actually 40 books was enough to be able to get by. And you can also collaborate on books as well. So it's almost just a matter of thinking, and these books can be exported as well. You'll also see here that this is where your pupil logins are. So if you need to access, you can go through there and do that. You can always change your view. So you can see it either in sort of a grid view with all of your books or sort of a more library-based model there. In the cogwheel at the top here, this is where you set up your settings. So at the moment, this is almost my training classroom. So I'd want to set this up and put in the controls in place that I want my pupils either to access or not. So for example, you can see here that they have the ability to do a Google image search directly, that they can edit their own books. You can turn on or off the ability for pupils to read each other's books. And you can also give them the ability to publish their books online if you want to. This is also where you can archive the library. So how do I go about creating a new book? Simply just tap on New Book in the top right corner here, and then you've got a couple of options. So you can either do a portrait book, which is very much the sort of normal book shape that we would see if we go to a library, where it opens up to that double page spread. If we're looking at a square book or a landscape book, this is more like a photo book that you'd be using. And it is worth saying that you also have comic strips down the bottom here. And this will actually create a comic book, but it also has a range of templates that actually make creating a book a little bit more exciting. So I'm actually going to go into Portrait 2x3 because there are some extra features that you lose if you just go in and set up a normal portrait book. So once you're here, just a couple of things to take you through. To get back to your library, you just simply use the My Books Back option here. Pages at the top allows you to open up and see all of your pages. It also allows you to quickly drag and drop any of the pages around if they're in the wrong order. You'll also see you have an undo button at the top here, and then you have your book. And then anytime you want to add pages, you just simply press on that plus on the side there, and that will add a new page. All I'm going to do is simply tap on the plus whenever I want to add an item in. So what you'll notice that's different to if you just do a normal book is that you also have a comic section. And this adds things like panels, speech, thought, text, and stickers. And I'll go into why you might use that in a little bit later on. First thing I'm going to do is tap on media, and I'm going to add a text. And I'm going to take you through and just show you all of the things you can do in Book Creator. And again, if I want to make this bold, I can go and do that. If I wanted to actually link this to something, I can go and do that as well. I can also use the voice to text feature within Book Creator here. So it will ask me for permission to use my microphone by Rachel Kotup. Now, it's not going to recognize my last name, but you can see here just how easy it is to go in and use that voice to text option. And then I can simply tap on done. Now, at the moment, it's looking quite boring, but that's okay because I can just go into the eye at the top here. This is known as Eye Inspector Eye, and it's where I can filter and change any of the text, anything on my page that I want to do. I can also pull this open. So if I want to actually keep this open, that little pin will keep this panel open all the time. So I'm going to go in and make that text a little bit bigger, like so. And actually, I'm going to take this one out here, and I'm going to add in another bit of text here, just so that that's separate from my title. And again, you can see that as you move anything on your page, it will align up. So you'll always know that everything's positioned exactly where it should be. And then you'll notice that when nothing is selected, it automatically defaults back to the background here. So I'm just going to go ahead and select a background. It's worth noting as well that obviously you do have your range of colors, but also in terms of a lesson, you have your grid paper, you've got finer grid for graphing, you've got your ruled lines and your wide ruled lines with your dotted thirds in, and you've also got your dotted paper. And for any musicians, you also have your sheet music or your manuscript paper as well. There are also a range of borders and pattern paper that you can go through and explore, as well as the different textured paper. Whenever you want to go back and sort of change the font of any of the writing, all you need to do is just simply select it. I can center that text. I can change the font. Now, one of the great things about Book Creator is that it does include open dyslexic font, so that all of this content is actually really easy to be read for all. And again, if I want to sort of move anything around on my screen, I can do that there as well. I can also go through and change the color of my font. And if I wanted to add a background to that text box, I can go in and do that as well. Now, one of the nice things about adding backgrounds is it just adds that extra effect as you go through and are creating anything here. So the next thing that I'm going to do is just simply to go in and use some of the comic features just to show you. So you'll see that you've got stickers in here. So I'm just going to go in and pop in an awesome sticker here. Again, I can just simply use those blue circles on the side to enlarge that and position it onto the page there. I'm going to go on to a new page spread here. And again, if I want to change that page color, you'll notice that it doesn't apply it to all of them. So if I wanted to set up, grid rule lines for all of my pages, this is where I would go in and simply copy those pages just to make it much easier to be able to do as I go through. But for me, it doesn't matter too much. Once I've got my book created, obviously it's then just a matter of setting up what exactly it is that you want to focus on. Now, I'd recommend using panels, and the reason for this is it's a nice way to be able to break up any instructions or ideas. So for example, I might be doing sort of a quick template like this. I can then go in and add in an image. This will bring up my camera, so if I wanted to take a photo, I can use that, or I can upload an image. So if I had something in my Google Drive, I could go in and insert an image there. Otherwise, I can do a quick image search. So I'm just going to quickly do an image search for a library here, and you can see there that that image will now insert on the side here, and it just breaks up that text a little bit easier. Again, you can see here that this is actually locked. So if I want to unlock it and move it to a different position, I can always do that as well. Now, for any text that I want to add in, I can go through. If I want a caption or if I just want normal text, this is where I'd then go through. So you can see here, so I can easily add in any information. And I can also use Google image search, which filter images for only royalty-free content, which just makes it much easier to be able to manage. And again, I can just simply resize and pop that in the box like so. Again, if I want to enlarge that, I just bring up that I for inspector again, and I can make sure that that fits that box perfectly. Again, I might want to go in and change my font. Maybe I want to change the background color of this one just to sort of focus in any content. So for example, on this, I might actually set that up with the ability for them to add in anything as they're busy creating that book in there as well. You'll also see that you do have speech bubbles that you can obviously use as well. But more in particular, you've also got shapes. So if you want to sort of point out anything, you can always go through and add in this content. So if I wanted to sort of point out something and add in something, add a call out and say, wow. If I wanted to add in sort of a thought bubble, I could go ahead. Again, I can just simply sort of move that around. I might pop that down here and just simply add in, I wonder how many books are in this library here. And then a couple of other things just that are fantastic within Book Creator is you not only have that ability to quickly type in any content, but you also have the pen tool. So if you're using a touchscreen device, this actually really brings this to life, because you can go through, you've got a standard pen tool. So you can see here that I can just quickly add sort of some pen illustrations in here. You've also got a range of different colors, and you will notice straight away that there's also magic ink, which is really cool. So it actually goes through and changes as I continue to draw. So you can see here just how that changes as I go around. So I can go through and play with that there. You've also got the highlight option here. So if I want to highlight any text, I'm going to go in with yellow here. I can go through and highlight some keywords, royalty-free content, just like so. Now you will see that it's sort of grayed out. If I just tap on done, that will then apply that over the top, as you can see there. So that's just the key thing to sort of note. And then any time that I want to go back in, I just simply double tap and it will open it back up. Now, if you've ever played with Google's Auto Draw before, this is actually built into Book Creator, which means that even if you're no expert at all, like I am definitely not an expert at drawing, you can see here that I can actually start to draw a book, and already it started to predict what it is that I'm drawing. Now, I like this book here, so I can go ahead and take that. I can actually go in and resize it, and I can use it as an icon there. So again, I'm just going to simply go through, and this time I'm going to add in a light bulb. And what I like to do is actually use icons to get my pupils to actually think about their connection. So I want to think about what it is that they already know, what it is that they'd like to learn, and maybe even just to think about sort of global connections. So how this relates to the world around them. So I can add in those icons there. And you can see there, once I've finished, I just tap on done. If I wanted to do those in a different color, all I need to do is just tap onto that and then go through. And again, you can see here that will then come through as those colors. So I'm just going to rub that one out because I don't want that there. You'll also notice that you do have the paint bucket option. So if I wanted to paint that entire thing, I can do that as well. I've also got emojis here. So if I wanted to sort of pull any emojis in, so if I wanted to have a globe, you can see here that I could just simply tap and use that instead of the auto draw option here as well. But I think auto draw is a lot more exciting than just simply using emojis as well. So once it's done, all I need to do is just simply tap off, and you'll see that those icons are there. So that's what's really great about that auto draw option. Again, just opening up to a new page here, I can go in and I'm going to tap on media this time. And I'm just going to show you some of the things that you get. So for example, with the record option here, I can go in and I can record some audio. I'm just going to showcase how the recording option works. And what's really nice about this is a nice way to not only give feedback to pupils, but also to give them verbal instructions so that you don't just have to write down everything that you want them to do. You might simply record a recording like this and then ask them to respond on the page. So you can see here, I'm going to tap stop. It'll bring up the screen so I can either delete it or use the recording. And this will then add a little sound button that I can position anywhere that I want. Now that red bar that comes up on the side of the screen, just so that you do know, is just because it doesn't want that margin on the side. But you can see here that I can always go right to the left, like so. And you can see just how easy it is to play that sound back. And then all I might do is just simply add in some text. And I'm just going to do a quick little caption that says, listen to this feedback. And again, I can just position that next to it so that my pupils know that that's what they need to go in and do. So one of the other great things about Book Creator is the ability to easily import any content. So as I mentioned before, this Google image search will come through with all usable content. So for example, I'm from Australia, if you didn't pick up from the accent already. So I can go through and add in an Australian flag in here. And then again, I can just simply pinch to resize using those blue corners here. But as well as that, I can use that import option. You'll see that I have the ability to go on to Google Maps. Now again, I can simply zoom in. I could go all the way in, but I'm actually going to do this one from afar and tap on select. Now this will then come up. It is worth noting that when you do go into Google Maps in here, if I tap on that pencil again, that I can change this to satellite image if I wanted to. And I can also zoom out if I wanted to see a greater image there. And then all I need to do is just simply pinch and use that to sort of focus in on where I want it. And again, I can move that map. So it's fully movable within my book there. So that's one of the nice things about any content that you add in Book Creator. And you'll also then note that that pen then comes really in handy, because if I wanted to sort of highlight, so here, for example, is where I was born. And for example, this is where I grew up. And again, I can just simply tap on done. So it's a nice, easy way to quickly label a map and to use that content there. Now, obviously, that's just using that simple import option here. I can also upload any files. So for example, if I'm going into my Google Drive and I've got something that I'd like to use, I can go through and add this in. So recently, I downloaded a folder here, and you can see there that there is a maximum file limit size. So it is just worth noting that when you're adding content in, that you do check for that. So for example, if I just open up our Arts Week, you can see here that that PDF now is embedded directly into the book. And when I tap onto it, that will then open that PDF up so that I can view it and interact. Now, these are all links that I've created within, and you can see there that they do then open up for me to access. So I'm just going to tap back to go back to that book there. So what's really nice there is that any content that I do embed directly is completely editable and usable within the book. You will have seen as well that I can also import from my Google Drive. So for that, all I need to do is just link it to my Google Drive here and allow the settings to be able to share that. And then in here, this is where I can then go through and add in any content. So you can see in here, I've got some files in my drive that I might like to use. So for example, I could go through and add in a slide presentation. So for example, if I just go into this one here, I can go in and open that up. And you can see here that this has then come through, and I can then add it in here. So I can then bring that up. It will open it up in a new tab for me, and I can access that content there. Now, one of the other things that's really nice, and what I wanted to show you, is that a range of other content easily embeds into Book Creator. So I'm just going to open up to a new page and just show you. So for example, if I just switch tabs here, one of the other videos that hopefully you will be watching at some point is how to use Flipgrid. So not going to go into what that is right now. You'll need to watch the other video for that one. But this is just to show you that, for example, if I tap on to share this Flipgrid here, you'll notice that I get an embed code. Now I can simply copy that embed code here. That'll then say that it's copied. I can come back to Book Creator, tap on the plus, go onto Media, Import, Embed, and then I just simply need to paste that code in there. I can then tap on Confirm Web Link. It will come up with the web page. I can rename this title if I wanted to. So this is just going to be Flipgrid Response. and I can then add that to the book. Again, all this means is that my pupils no longer need to leave the book to actually go and create and share their response, because this will then just simply open up, as you can see here, and they can go on and add their response. Another familiar face that you can see there. Once I've done that, I could also do exactly the same with an Adobe Spark video. So for example, here I created a Adobe Spark video, so I can just simply tap on the share option within that. And again, just use publish. What this will then do is it will just open up that video. Now again, for if you want to know more about Adobe Spark, you've got that other video that you can go back and watch. So this will then come up. I tap on create link to export it. Once it comes to this screen, this is where I then use that same embed option, copy that code, and then switch back to Book Creator, go in, Media, Import, and then Embed. And I can then add that directly into my Book Creator. Now, this works exactly the same with any other content. So for example, if I wanted to use a YouTube video, so for example, if I just go into YouTube, Leo Academy Trust here, I can open up this channel, and I'm going to take this Google Jamboard one that Graham's done already. And all I need to do is tap on share, embed. You get the idea now. You can also see that you can actually choose a start time. So if I wanted to put this within my Book Creator book and actually say that I want this to start at 5 minutes within the video, this will actually jump to that specific part within. I can also give options for the player controls to appear if I want to. And then all I need to do is simply copy that code, come back to my book here, and again, just simply plus, media, import, and then embed. So hopefully what I'm showing you during this whole process is just how easy it is to add content in that you want your pupils to then be able to access. They just simply tap on, the video then plays directly within so that they don't need to leave to be able to do that. This is a really nice way to have all of the content that you want linked in. And it's worth saying as well that this works equally the same with a Google form or any G Suite files as well. You can even do it with Nearpod. So for example, for this, all I'd need to do is use a student paste mode. I can share it. And again, just simply copying that embed code, I can come back in here and import this in. So this is a nice way to bring that interactive lesson directly in. Again, pupils are then interacting with Nearpod without having to leave the lesson. They can then work through that Nearpod lesson and then jump back to that book whenever they want to. Now, one of my favorite things to be able to embed within Book Creator is a tour creator tool. Now, if you haven't used Tour Creator, what it allows you to do is to create a virtual reality tour. So a virtual reality tour is a 360-degree image that allows you to explore anywhere in the world that has Street View or someone's gone through and taken 360-degree content. So you can see here that this one is all about the 7 new wonders of the world, and it actually spins through that content automatically. And then these are points of interest that are highlighted there. Again, I can just simply share that code, copy it, jump back to Book Creator here, and I can simply embed this here. Now again, once that's then embedded, I can then give my pupils some instructions. So for this one, I'm just simply going to add in some text, and I'm going to say, view the 7 new wonders of the world. And again, I can always make that smaller if it's too big as well. And I'm also going to add in a voice recording for them. Once you've finished viewing the 7 new wonders of the world, On the right-hand side of your screen, what I'd love you to do is to write some facts and include some images of your favorite new wonder of the world. Again, I can just simply add that on. I can add in that little speech bubble for them to listen back to, so that that's there. And this is then where they're going to use that content. So again, that 7 Wonder of the World tour will open up directly within. So you can see here that that's now going to spin through. If you've added in any narration as well within the tour, you can turn this on.
This UNESCO World Heritage Site in Agra, India, is a jewel of Indo-Islamic architecture.
Now, as well as that, what's really nice about Book Creator is that for any content that you are adding into your book, you can also go through with the video, but you can also record a video. So I could record a video of myself explaining how to do something. I can give the instructions so that my pupils can actually see myself as I'm recording and they know what the lesson's about rather than it just being audio. Again, I can then add that in. And now I've got that video there. Again, I might want to shrink it down and I may even want to sort of move it to its own page. So I might actually go, you know what, I'm going to cut this one, go on to the next page and simply paste that on there. And again, I can just simply pinch to enlarge. I can add in some instructions. So I might just simply say, watch my instruction video here. So that they know that that's what they need to do. Now, if I just jump back to the Pages tab here, you can see that this is where I can then simply sort any of those pages around as well. So this is a nice way to be able to do that there. If you've set up a page and realize, actually, you know what, I want to use that as a template for all of them, I can always copy and I can even insert a page before it if I wanted a blank one. And I can always delete it. Once all of that content is in, what it is worth noting is that if I just come back to this one, once this book is obviously in this view here, it's very much in that working pace. But if I tap on the plus, the play button in the top right here, this will open the book up into viewing mode. And you can see that when it does come into that, the pages do turn almost as if we were actually flicking through that book. And I can make this full screen so that that book will open up and take up the whole screen. I can also share this. So if I wanted to publish this book online, if I want to download it as an ebook, or if I want to print it, I can do that here. Within the settings wheel, this is where I can change the display. So I can either have side-by-side pages. I can change the language that it's read in. So if, for example, I didn't want this read in English, maybe I wanted it read in Spanish because I'm learning Spanish at the moment, then I can go through and select that language in here.
Cromos Español.
I can also highlight the words as it reads. So this is a really helpful way so that actually, whilst I'm producing this book, that I can actually go back and learn this content. And I can even use the play multimedia option. I can also disable that if I want to. I can use the turn pages automatically option. So this will turn the pages once it's got to the end. And I can also change the speed of the book here. The read to me option will actually read the book all the way through. So I'll show you how that works. Now I'm just going to change that language back to English just to show you.
I can easily add in any information.
Now you can see that speed is very slow. So again, I might actually want to speed that up.
I can easily add in any information, and I can also use Google Image Search, which filter images for only royalty-free content. Listen to this feedback.
I'm just going to showcase, and you can see that it does go directly into having that audio read aloud. So the pupils don't need to actually go and click it. It will just continue to read it. So this really makes Book Creator completely accessible to all learners. So when they are actually using this content, it is more accessible, not just to those that might struggle to actually sit and read a book that you might create, but also to just have that ability to have any information read to them. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to My Books, which is my library here, and I'm going to show you a couple of features that come up down the bottom. So at the bottom here, this is where I can change the author name of the book. I can also go in to the book options. So I can actually combine books. So if I started a new book here, just very quickly, and just simply add in a new text option here. So this is going to be combine ideas in Book Creator. Again, if I just come back, when I use that book option here, you can see I can tap on combine books. Now, as long as the books are the same format, so all portrait or all landscape, you will be able to combine them into one book. Again, I can then call it something new. So I can say combined book, tap on create book, and you can see there that it doesn't delete those other books. They are still kept as they are, but this will then create a brand new book with those added in, as you can see there. So that's a really nice option here. You can also import a book. So if someone sent you a book that was an EPUB file, either that was in your drive or that you had downloaded, this is where you would add it in. You can also move it to a different library. So if I actually wanted to move this book to my own book section or another library, this is where I can do that as well. And this is really key, especially if you have a library that your pupils are accessing. And then in Share, again, this is where you can either publish online. You can also collaborate. So what's really nice about this is you can use real-time collaboration. So for example, I'm just going to tap on Start and turn on collaboration. Collaboration is then on. You'll see that little collaboration icon in the top right corner. And this means that it's now a group book. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Again, I can also download this as an ebook if I want to. And again, if I want to just read that book, I'd use that option here. So how do I go about getting my pupils added in to using Book Creator? I'm going to go in and open up a brand new incognito window to go in as a pupil now. And you can see again, I just simply tap on Sign In. Now, when I come up this time, let me just sign out of this one here. So I go on to that pupil sign in option here. Again, I'm going to sign in with Google. And this time I'm just going to use another one and go in with Leo Student. Once I'm signed in, you can see here that actually this one is collaborating already. But if I just tap on the three dots up here, my pupils then need to join a library because they don't have access to that library that I've set up here. So all I need to do is tap on that invite code option here, copy that code across, and I'm going to jump into the pupil view now and then use join a library. They'd simply enter in that code there. And you'll see now that they've actually got access to all those three books that are there. And because this book is collaborative, they can actually then go in to this book and make any changes that they want to as they go through. So this is a really nice way to actually get pupils collaborating on a book together. But also note that if you don't want them collaborating at the same time, then you can always use that combine books option to actually create a whole class book. So that's how you actually go about getting your pupils on to join and use a book within Book Creator. And when they go in, it's very much exactly that same view that you saw already. I'm just going to jump in and show the portrait view just to show you sort of how that differs from creating a normal book within Book Creator. So you can see here that when I go in, that now I only get media and shapes. So rather than having that extra tab where I have those placeholders for templates, I'm sort of limited on that view there. So that's why I always like to go in with the comics option, just because it adds that extra level of ability to be able to move any content around. So I hope you've enjoyed exploring Book Creator. Again, I am just simply going to come back onto my teacher view here, and just to show you again those resources, just to sort of pull out a couple that are worth looking at. For example, looking at how you can use Book Creator in terms of formative assessment. This book will take you through some brilliant ideas, and so you can see here that I can go through, you've got instructions that have been set up here. So I can go through, this is how I would add in text. There's some examples here. So if pupils respond with audio, they can make their audio invisible as well. So you can hotspot things. There's some journal entry ideas. So there's lots and lots of ideas about how you could actually go about using it. As well for how you'd go about using it within sort of reading responses. So I hope you have fun exploring Book Creator. It's definitely one that has brought so much through, and I think that ability to embed any content, as well as when you create a table of contents, all of these actually then link to that specific page within your book. And if you add in a home button at the top, then you can always go back. So just to show you how you'd actually go about doing that. So for example, one of the things that I can do is I can add in a home button, or I can add an icon to take me back somewhere. So for this, I can go into import, I can search for a house icon, and I can use this for creating sort of a contents page. So again, I just simply can resize that option, pop it in the corner. When I tap on the eye now, once that house is selected, you can see here that I can actually set that to go back to page 1, and I can add alternative text on that image if I want to. Now when I play that and I tap on the house, you'll see that it will take me directly back to that first one. So it's a nice way to add in that content. Have fun playing with Book Creator. Looking forward to seeing what you get up with.